I think violence is a poor solution for anything. I've experienced from being in the military, being a soldier in war. If somebody was being attacked, beaten in front of us, I don't think you can stand by and just accept that.
We should avoid violence and exploitation when we can. It seems like you...
Exploitation, you always, not when we can. You need to be active in stopping that. You cannot tolerate exploitation under any circumstance. To me, it's not acceptable, at least.
What are your thoughts on all the non-human animals we exploit and kill?
I enjoy my steak. Now you have me thinking.
Se hva som skjer på vår jord. Vi må renovere stedet vi bor. Det er det som kommer til å skje. Verden trenger helt nye spor på høy tid.
My name is Matthias. I make content where I'll discuss some ethical issues among other things. So, what do you think about violence?
Oi, you pick on a subject close to heart. I think violence is a poor solution for anything, and the people that are directly implicated in it rarely benefit, and it's people who are remote from that violence that are out to gain from it. So yeah, I've experienced from being in the military, being a soldier in war, witnessing violence in the developing world. Yeah, it's a tool used by the greedy to profit, and I think it's yeah.
Can there be cases of violence that is justified? Are there circumstances where violence is okay or justified?
Yeah, I don't know if you would call it violence. I think to stand up for the right of the defenseless, to intervene to protect those that can't protect themselves. But I think you have to know that when you're doing that, you can't just be mindless. It's a use of violence, a show of strength to stop violence, I think is how I would say. So you have to go into that kind of situation really with a capacity to control yourself as well. So you can't just go mindlessly into violence to protect the weak, because otherwise you just become part of the problem.
Yeah, so to summarize, violence can be acceptable if it is to prevent more violence.
Yes.
But also then you need to be...
But with caveats. There's I mean, if somebody was being attacked and beaten in front of us, I don't think you can stand by and just accept that. You have to stand forward, maybe with more of a show of strength than violence. I think maybe it's hard to caveat, because violence becomes violence, and once it starts, it escalates, and I think that's your dilemma, really. So I don't think it can ever be tolerated, but it can be accepted, maybe is better to say it. If I can draw a fine distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about exploitation? So using someone else without their consent to gain something?
That's criminal. That's criminal in its intent to use people in whatever sense, and you can go from the most. Yeah, it's horrific. I think it's a corruption. The person that says, "Can you hold this for me?" knowing that they're making somebody do an illegal act, getting them to do things and not reward them appropriately, to damage them. No, you cannot.
So far, we should avoid violence and exploitation when we can. It seems like you...
Exploitation, you always, not when we can. You need to be active in stopping that kind of activity. I mean, the extremes of exploitation, selling of people into slavery in all sorts of formats across the world. And that's not just in the Middle East or in Africa or in the Far East. It happens also here in Europe, and I think probably in America as well, but you cannot tolerate exploitation under any circumstance, under any guise. It's not, to me, it's not acceptable at least.
And who are able to be victims of violence or exploitation?
Everybody.
Everybody?
Everybody is. I think people can be exploited by their naivety. So that can be somebody who's quite powerful on the surface, somebody who's a CEO, somebody who's a states minister can be exploited.
So so far you've said people, but is it the same if I say break a branch of that tree, or if I break your arm? Can the tree be a victim of violence or exploitation?
Yes, because it's okay.
Or is there an important distinction here?
I don't think if you are prepared to exploit people, you're probably prepared to exploit nature, resources. Is it the same? Ultimately, it can become the same, because if you exploit somebody's environment, then you also exploit them in a way. So if you have an urban environment that is forested, that is landscaped, and people damage that, then it also damages those who benefit from the landscaping. If you take that to the extreme of the rainforests or river folk and so on, then you have the same issues as well that can be damaging for not just the environment but also for the people around.
Yeah, so the environment is something that can be damaged, but say like in isolation, is there a difference between killing a plant like a tree and killing a person like a human?
For me, no.
No?
I think it's a step. It's a step.
If you had to choose, cutting the stalk of a broccoli, cutting someone's throats.
Well, I would cut the broccoli, I think.
So there is a distinction here.
I think it's. You put it in an interesting way. I think to deprive of life immediately is often the human context. You take a branch from a tree, the tree won't die, but it may. So you can be more. You can be within reason and with the right approach, slower in your response to exploitation of resources, but you cannot allow it to go unchecked.
Can I tell you what I see as the important difference between these acts? Is that we humans, we have central nervous systems which are connected to pain receptors. We have a subjective experience of the world, you know, eyes to see, ears to hear, and all these things. So we are a subject, like an individual, whereas a plant don't have any nervous system, no pain receptors, no centralized.
I think increasingly trees are shown to have a community. And
they can have intelligence, but intelligence and sentience is not the same.
No, I think you're right in that sense. So yes, I would, but I don't think you can exploit the planet to the benefit of humankind without thought.
No,
so I would say that
it will backfire.
Yeah, I think you're right too. I like the idea of the sentient, and within reason, and within the sensible approach, I agree with you. But you can't have humans without nature.
No, of course.
I mean, yes, people argue we can have concrete and we can have UV light underground and grow all the food and blah blah. But I think that that removes a sense of humanity as well.
Yeah. And maybe it'll get a bit more tricky now, I don't know, but what are your thoughts on all the non-human animals we exploit and kill?
I enjoy my steak, so I'm a little bit afoot in both camps, because I don't think you can't just exploit for trophy. Can you exploit for food? I think I think it can be done in a good manner, in a better manner than it is often done. I think the mass use of animal for food production without thought for their conditions is wrong, but that's why I'm a bit of foot in two camps. I'll happily eat roast beef, I will eat chicken, I will eat and drink milk products, and I understand that people see that as an exploitation and a use of animal life, but I don't think it can be done. I don't think it can be done in such a way that you.
Because you said like all exploitation was wrong.
Yeah.
You said, and like violence can only be justified if it is to like prevent more violence.
Yeah. But I think if you because there is an argument that would say that we don't need the cows, we shouldn't have beef, we don't need it.
Yeah.
Well, let's do without it. Let's kill all the cows and get rid of them. But is that an exploitation in itself? I think there's ways of farming and there's ways of using livestock for food. And I think if you look at the mass exploitation of dairy cows back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and how it's just milked and milked and milked to an obscene level, to methods that are now allowing less intensive milking of cattle, better use of calf and the livelihoods of young animals, I think that's more tolerable. When you look at the hygiene and the welfare of animals, I think that's an important element. And I think it still maybe counts as exploitation, but not the same.
Why does the welfare of animals matter?
Because it's a state of mind. I think if you don't care about the trees, if you don't care about animals, if you don't care about people, it's a state of escalation to a point where you don't care about anything. I think also animals, insect life, fish life, marine life has a role to play on our planet and the well-being of our planet. And I know, of course, that I can be contradictory in some sense, but I think without wildlife, without animal life, we're a planet that has no future.
You're absolutely right that like the industrialized like big scale of animal agriculture and is like a huge threat to the planet is the biggest reason for deforestation, like the Amazon rainforest you talked about, because all these animals people eat needs to be fed. So the majority of our agricultural land is to feed the animals people eat. So it's a really inefficient way of producing food, and we're tearing up the ocean floors to catch fish, and so you're absolutely right about this. But if all exploitation is wrong, like, is there a right way to do the wrong thing?
No.
Or
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's. I think if we look at the exploitation of, as you say, the planet in terms of fish, of animals, and of plant life, I think it's interesting to think about the one species that is not controlled in the same way, and how do we as a species go forward. I don't have answers or easy answers for that, but I mean, we have a population of 8 billion, 9 billion people on the planet, and that grows faster each time that we go around the corner, and I think that also needs to be addressed if we're not going to continue to exploit the world and people.
Do you know what's the definition of veganism?
I would not be brave enough to fully say what veganism is.
It's a lot of people think it's a diet, or that is to do with like environment or health or stuff like this, but these are all like misconceptions, because it's really a ethical principle. The principle that humans should live without exploiting other animals. So that's all that veganism is, and then the practices and the diet and those things like just logically follow from the principle. So a vegan doesn't see other animals as being here for us to use, but being here for their own reasons and having intrinsic value instead of like instrumental value for us.
Yeah.
What do you think about this principle?
I admire it. Whether I could adhere to it, I don't know, but I admire it as a way of thinking about the world as a better place. So, and I know that contradicts things I'm saying. I come from an age where I grew up with a different set of morals and different set of values, but I think if you look at veganism in terms of looking at a lifestyle lifestyle. That's a horrible word to use. As a way of living, I don't think it's wrong. I think it has a lot to endear it to a much wider population. Yeah.
And I also was raised eating animals every day and like didn't think much about it, but then I learned more and more about like these industries and these practices and stuff, and even like yeah, you can say the industrialization, big scale, has its problems, but even if that wasn't the case, even if I just ate one animal a year, like, is there a right way to kill someone who does not want to die?
I think it's a right way to kill. I think it's respecting what you kill. If you're going to use it as food, then you don't just kill it. I mean, I have seen people take meat and they take the best piece and throw the rest as garbage. I think that's wrong. I think anything can be used.
Yeah, but do you think the animal cares though, if when they're already dead? Like, isn't like what do you do with their body?
That's a dilemma that
like,
to ask yourself.
Is it really respectful to take someone's life if they don't want to die?
I think if you're killing a human being, you're not doing anything with them. You're just killing them, and you're taking.
Right? Is it disrespectful to grandma not to eat her when she? You
shouldn't kill grandma maybe in the first place.
No, I meant like when humans die, like you said, we don't have this mentality of, oh, we need to use their body so it don't go to waste. No, we bury them, you know.
Yeah.
So
interesting thought.
Yeah.
But normally you don't take an animal and let it die naturally. Use of animals for food, I think, is it's interesting. I've been part of hunting in the UK, where we look at hunting pheasants and commercial shoots. I've seen the big shoots where they will kill 300-400 birds in a day and bury most of them just to rot. I stopped supporting those, and I went with a much smaller, where 30-40 birds are shot and everything is eaten, where the community is benefiting from the whole process. I appreciate the bird is being exploited, but it's not in the same way that it's just shot and buried. So I think there's, if you're not going to be vegan in the sense of what you eat, if you only look at that narrow aspect of veganism, I think you have to then be respectful of what you do choose to eat. So I would choose to eat food from my local neighborhood where I can. I would choose to use meat that has been produced in an ethical way, if that's the right way to look at it. So
yeah,
I think it's,
I'm curious what the ethical way is.
Yeah. Maybe I haven't got time to answer that full debate, but...
Do you feel, is there anything that, because you seem like an open guy, and you said like you admire the vegan principle, so do you feel like, would anything stop you from following it yourself as well?
Apart from my own desire to eat things that I enjoy, I think I've changed. I would say in the last 5 years I've changed the way I eat. I don't think I'm at the point where I would accept veganism yet, but I'm much closer to it, whereas I would never have eaten a purely vegetarian meal that I made. I now make a vegetarian meal from scratch 2-3 times a week. So I've moved a lot in that sense, but I've not given up completely.
And you said
maybe
that
I'm selfish in some ways.
Yeah. Oh, at least you see it and admit it.
Yeah.
But like you said, you still eat animals because of how you like the taste, right? Can sensory pleasure, is that a justification for violence or exploitation?
No. No, I guess not.
No?
Now you have me thinking, yeah.
Yeah. I also used to like the taste, but like in other circumstances, we wouldn't accept that as an excuse. Some people get enjoyment from watching, I don't know, like dog fighting or...
Yeah, the extremes,
And even though that's not like socially acceptable in our culture, but...
It is elsewhere, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and like, shouldn't the like concern of the animals, like, like, isn't it weird how like we're culturally conditioned to to differentiate between like different types of animals. Like, why is it that like, if I were to start kicking pigeons or seagulls here,
Yeah.
like if someone saw that, like, or if you saw that, like, would you join me or stop me or walk away?
If you are just kicking pigeons,
Yeah.
I think that's unnecessary. I would probably try and stop you from doing that. Or I would certainly inform authorities that would be more a better place to do that.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I've eaten pigeon and it's very good food.
Yeah, but
I think just to bully it, to hurt it for the sake of hurting it, I don't think that can be accepted.
But if you were that bird though, like, would you be okay with like having your throat slit to be eaten, like?
No, I guess not.
And eating animals also is like unnecessary.
I have also studied diet, and I think we get a lot of benefit from eating meat and from fish.
Like what?
Better proteins, easy to eat proteins.
You can get all the nutrients you need on a like.
That I understand, but also
diet.
if you're going to feed the billions of people on the planet.
We could feed more people actually. We could reduce our agricultural land by 3/4, like reduce 75%, and still feed 10 billion people. Because we waste so much land and calories to first feed the animals people eat. And these animals only exist because we breed them into existence.
No.
Most do.
Many do.
Not the wild animals, but the farmed animals are bred by humans. So if we stop our demand, the number of animals bred into existence would just go down.
I think it's an interesting concept, and I think there's a middle ground. I personally believe in the middle ground. I don't think we need to eat the amount of animals we do. I certainly agree with that principle. We are probably a distance apart because you would say none. I would say some. I think also when it comes to eating it properly, you eat it properly. The amount of food that is wasted. So again, if we're looking at the amount of animals that you need to feed people with meat.
But if you say we need some animals, how many do we need?
Numbers I don't know. I'm not. But if you take a chicken, we take that as a simple meal. Many people would just eat it once. They will take the carcass of the chicken, they will eat meat once, and then they'll throw the rest away. For me, I would say, okay, that is one meal, is the sort of Sunday dinner, if you like. You have a second meal of the cold meal with the cold meats. You then take the bones, you make a soup from it. So I would make 3 meals from what many people would use as for just one meal. And I think that kind of education could also be helpful in moving in the right direction.
It would reduce the amount of individuals killed for food, maybe. But would it reduce it more than just leaving all animals alone?
Of course not.
Are animals individuals?
Maybe we come to the point where we agree to disagree, and I think...
Just to be clear, when I say individual, I am talking about the sentience I was talking about before, that they have a subjective experience of the world.
Yeah.
They might not be as smart as us, but they still value their own lives. They have feelings, experiences, all these things, and their life matters to them just as ours matter to us.
We'll agree on that point. That's for sure. That's for sure. I think the difference we're at in our dialogue and our conversation is that I'm still prepared to consider eating meat, but I would hope that I'm respectful of society, and I'm also respectful of compromise. I think moving a way where you can sit down and dialogue is important, and I think that's as...
I think should we compromise on our morals and values?
No, we should not. But equally, if you try to change the world all in one go, then maybe it's also can be difficult. And I think that you can move the world in a much better direction without blacks and whites, without that sort of left or right extremism, I think.
But would it be extreme if I was a racist and someone convinced me that people of other ethnicities are also individuals and I should leave them alone? So, okay, from now on I'm only gonna beat up one foreigner per week. Is that like being me compromising, or?
That's a tricky way to place it. That's not acceptable. You cannot be.
No.
Yeah.
So, how many more animals should be? Oh, wait, you're right. We can't change the whole world, but
No.
we have power over our purchases and our actions, right? So even if me not buying animal products won't like bring down the whole industries, but it will reduce the demand a little, and for those animals it makes the world a difference. So how many more animals should be exploited for you from now on? 0 or more than 0?
You have me on the back foot. I'm going to remain a less than idealistic person. In an ideal world, we stop killing animals for sure. Yeah. Period.
Yeah. Well, you have the choice to make your world this ideal world.
Yeah.
And but maybe this is a good place to end it. But I really appreciate you stopping for a conversation. Here is a documentary that shows what we're demanding when we're not vegan, and here's also like some resources if you wanna learn a bit more, get like some practical help with the transitioning or stuff like that. So,
For sure.
Yeah.
Matthias, thank you very much for the conversation.
Yeah.
It's good to have an intelligent debate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
care.
you. You too. Bye.
Take care.
You too. Oh shit. Sorry, I didn't see the camera being dragged to the side, so I was out of frame. Sorry.
Prinsippet er ganske fint da, men det er litt vanskelig å overbevise andre folk.
Kan være det. Jeg har overbevist en del folk, men det må jo komme fra dem, ikke sant? Du sa det var et fint prinsipp. Vil du si du er enig på en måte?
Ja, jeg er enig med det, men...
Du er enig med det, men du har fortsatt lyst til å spise kjøtt, så du leiter etter liksom, hvordan kan jeg rettferdiggjøre det på en måte? Jeg skjønner det, jeg også liksom var der før, men finnes det noen gang en riktig grunn til å ta fra noen livet hvis vi ikke trenger det, eller å bruke andre uten samtykke og så videre?
Nei, det er egentlig helt ugreit, men det er så litt vanskelig å tenke over det, for liksom det er noe jeg har gjort gjennom hele livet mitt.